TikToker arrested after poisoning food at Walmart was the title of my last video, but over Christmas the case has been developing and he now faces a potential 10 years of jail time for things we hadn't even discussed. Now we're going to take a look at some of these court documents that have recently come out, as well as recapping all the events so we can figure out where this case might be heading. Also, before somebody comments, yes, this is a new room. My daughter is now at the age where she needs her own room, so she's kicked me out of my office. And me and my fiance have spent the last week trying to rejig everything around so that she can have her own space, and as you can tell, we're not finished. But anyway, last video we spoke about Wolfie Coletti, a TikToker who had 330,000 followers and was a self-proclaimed supreme villain. Now I do have to say that you must be a pretty rubbish supreme villain to get yourself arrested. The pranks that he would do basically consisted of finding a random stranger and attempting to ruin their day as much as possible in numerous ways, such as throwing cake at people.
Somebody's birthday today. Who's gonna get a cake?
Also, I like how he's put intrusive thoughts on the screen, as if this is just a daily occurrence for everybody and this absolves him of all guilt. But I don't really think that lobbing a cake at a stranger's head so you can get a TikTok is an intrusive thought. And in my last video, we also saw him put food inside an elderly man's laundry. It's been nearly a month now and I still don't get the joke in this one. He ruined some poor elderly man's day and probably ruined his clothes as well. And that's funny? Now, as you'll start to notice in some of these videos and any other that you see from Wolfie Coletti, he low-key comes across, and I'm afraid to say this, but a bit psychopathic. Like, just to have the brainwaves to come up with these things, think they're cool, think they're funny, and then post them online for other people. It's gotta have some sort of psychopathy in your brain. But then we get to the Walmart video, which is the one that landed him in all this mess. Wolfie, and from now on I'm gonna start using his actual name because it'll make the court documents a little bit easier to follow later, and also because I don't want to spend another 20 minutes calling a man Wolfie. But anyway, Charles Smith points the camera at his face, then at the food, and then sprays it with bug poison. And what really confused me in that last video was I couldn't understand for the life of me what he thought would happen. He went into a heavily surveillanced store, took bug spray off the shelf, then proceeded to record himself spraying food and committing multiple felonies, then uploaded it to TikTok for everybody to see. This is what I meant about psychopath tendencies earlier. Like, did he really think people would see this and laugh, let alone find it entertaining? Also, this wasn't even what Charles had planned to do when he got to Walmart. This was all spur of the moment. Police said Smith entered the store with plans to film social media pranks, but he instead grabbed a can of Hotshot Ultra Bed Bug and Flea Killer without paying for the item. The police saw these videos on TikTok, got in contact with Smith, who then handed himself in. And in the last video, we spoke about some of the charges that he might face and how long his sentence potentially could be. Well, mainly I had no idea about US law, and the comments afterwards clued me up. But from what I can remember, he was facing a Class 6 felony and then 3 Class 1 misdemeanors, with charges such as introducing poisons, endangering people's lives, and theft. I can't remember what I guessed that the sentence could be, but you guys had a pretty good idea. Attempted poisoning is a Class 6 felony in Arizona, can be between 4 months to 2 years depending on priors. He could get probation if this is a first offense. A Class 6 felony in New York carries a maximum sentence of 2.5 to 7 years for first-time felons. Found guilty of misdemeanors carries a minimum of 1 year each. Possible plea to felony and drop misdemeanors, 5 years jail or 5 years years probation. We now have a better idea of what he could actually be looking at thanks to some major twists in the court proceedings. Now, quick disclaimer once again, but I've done my best to try and decipher what has gone on here. But bear in mind, I'm British, so I'm not even from the right country, and I also studied film at university, so legal matters really aren't my strong suit. However, if we look at the case, we can see that he initially appeared before the court on the 21st of December 2024, and the official charges he was facing were 2 counts of adding harmful substances, a class 6 felony, endangerment, and then criminal damage, both class 1 misdemeanors, which led to the judge awarding him a bail of $25,000. Now, Smith claimed that he was making around 6 to 10k a month from TikTok, so you'd think he probably had no issue dealing with these costs, right? Well, shortly after the initial incident, his TikTok was taken down. So, as far as I'm aware, any money that he had yet to withdraw and any money that he would have made in the future disappeared in an instant. But what took this case in a completely different direction that I don't think anybody was anticipating was that the entire case was dismissed by a grand jury indictment. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I believe, this means that the evidence was presented to a grand jury who then decided that there was enough probable cause to charge Charles Smith that it didn't need to go before a judge. They then issued an indictment which brought in new charges that we hadn't talked about yet and elevated the case to a higher court level. Now, 2 things might have just happened. Either 1, I have successfully weaved my way through American law jargon, or 2, I've made a complete fool of myself and I have uttered absolute nonsense, and to make any sense of this case, you're gonna have to look at the comments. But I'm at least 80% sure that I'm right, or at least a little bit right, or somewhere close to the answer. But even if I was spouting absolute nonsense, what I am definitely sure of is that on the 31st of December, a new charge of burglary by 3rd degree was added to the case. And I believe that 3rd degree burglary is basically trespass, so he would have entered like a shop or some sort of commercial area when he wasn't allowed to, or he refused to leave. We don't really know too many details of where and why this charge was added because that part of the case is sealed, but thanks to Arizona's family, we do know a little bit more. The court paperwork for the burglary case is sealed, but as part of his release conditions, Smith is not allowed to be on any social media and is not allowed to step foot inside any Bosa Donuts shop. Arizona's family reached out to Bosa Donuts for comment on Tuesday but have not heard back. So something went on between him and these Bosa Donut shops, but again, like I said, we don't really know. So there's one plus, that we probably won't see Charles Smith ever again on social media. And it also mentioned that attorneys were particularly worried about the public risk that Smith might have created, with the possibility of people following in his footsteps to try and gain fame. So there's a potential that they might try and make an example out of him. At the moment, the last update is that he completed an arraignment hearing yesterday, and the official trial date is set for the 7th of May. So we have a long time until we hear anything official. But let's quickly look at each charge and what that potentially could lead to. And now the legal people in the comments will be proud of me because I've actually looked up the Arizona statutes on sentencing to try and figure this out. But we have 3rd degree burglary, which is a class 4 felony, which carries a minimum sentence of 1 year to a maximum of 3 years and 9 months. And then adding harmful substances is a class 6, which has a minimum of 4 months and a maximum of 2 years. Now, I will say that this statute is specifically for first-time felony offenders. So I'm not sure, since there's multiple felonies in this case, if it means that he would be sentenced as a first-time offender or as a repeat offender, which would increase the sentence for the burglary charge to a minimum of 2 years and 4 months and a maximum of 7.5 years, and the class 6 adding harmful substances to a minimum of 9 months and the maximum of 2 years and 9 months. Obviously, that's what it says for having a prior felony, and I'm not sure if this is going to be counted as having any priors since it's the same case. But for the felonies alone, we're looking at a low end of 1 year and 4 months and a maximum of just over 10 years. Now, for the misdemeanors, they're both class 1, which mean that he either gets a year in jail or a 5k fine. But like I said, there are so many mitigating factors that we really don't have any idea what the final sentence could be. For example, I assumed that for the charges that I just read, that they would be served one after the other, but they could be served all together at the same time, which could see him get as little as a year in prison. There could also be some sort of shenanigans with a plea deal, which would then shorten some of those sentences. Or it could be the opposite, and they try and make an example of him and throw absolutely everything at him. But the trial is set for May, so we have a long time till the official sentencing. So everyone that's watching right now, I want you to put down in the comments how long you think that he could get in the official sentencing, and we'll see who gets the closest. And honestly, you know what? Whoever does get the closest, I'll send you some bug spray. Also, YouTube's allowed me to turn on channel memberships, so if you wanted to, help out, keep the lights on around here, I believe I've set them to like $1. So if anyone's ever dreamed of being a Benjamin McNaney channel member, now is your chance. I think you get like a nice little badge so you stand out in comments. Obviously, you'll also get my eternal gratitude, and I'll also be putting people's names at the end of my videos from now on to thank them. But as always, please make sure you leave your opinions down in the comments below, and I'll reply to as many as possible. And please, if you could like and subscribe so we can meet again, that would be absolutely amazing. And if I don't see you again, see ya.